Nothing beats the sound of a basketball sinking through a nylon net, and lucky for us, basketball season is well underway in McKinney ISD. Hello and welcome to Sports Talk. I'm Tyler Sloan. It's the mid-season report for the girls basketball teams in McKinney ISD. On today's show, we'll hear from all three coaches about how their teams stack up heading into the holidays. One particular team is very excited about their top 5 area ranking at the moment. Also, the Dennis Baker State Farm Scholar Athlete of the Week is announced later in the show. It's finally time to tip things off on Sports Talk. I'm joined now by the McKinney girls basketball coach, Debbie Harris. A 9-9 record so far this year for the Lionettes. And Coach, thanks again for joining us today. Coming into the season, what was the goal for your team? What were some of the expectations that you gave them early that they're trying to accomplish throughout the year?
Well, I think our biggest obstacle is just, obviously coming into the 5A district and just understanding the mentality, that we are the underdog, that, it's definitely a step up for us, and just, trying to embrace that instead of, bowing down to it. So, and I think our kids have adjusted to it.
Your team is relatively undersized coming into this year, not that traditional, like maybe a 6-foot post player that you have that can really dominate the boards down low. How have you had to make adjustments with, the size disadvantage against some of the teams that have taller girls?
Well, I don't know that it's so much just the size. I think a lot of it, that's an issue, but the depth, I think, is the bigger issue for us. We've got 6 kids that are returning from varsity, and we've got 3 brand new varsity players, and just the fact that everybody else has got 12 or 13 kids that are experienced at that level, we definitely have had to change the way that we play and slow the game down a little bit, which is not something that we're real comfortable with. But in order for us to play 4 quarters, we've, at the pace that we want to and compete at the level we want to, we've had to make some adjustments.
It certainly puts a lot of strain on the starters to have to play those minutes and keep up that endurance. When you're playing in some of the tournaments that you've played in leading up into district play that'll be later this year, how have you managed your team's minutes, and how have some of the other players that off the bench developed in order to help out those starters?
Well, I think the number one thing is that our kids understand that that's who we are, and everybody understands that they've got a job to do. And our bench does a great job of coming in and doing their role, and our starters embrace the fact that that's part of it, that they get to play more, but they also understand that with that comes more responsibility. So I think just communicating what everybody's role is has been a big part of that. So,
if you've had any player that has been a standout player, it's certainly been Mariah Mitchell. She has had, I tallied up, 8 games with 20 or more points this year. She had a 32-point game and a key win against Mesquite. What has she meant to your team?
Mariah has the ability to create, not just for herself, but for her teammates. She's very versatile. She can play a lot of different positions. She draws a lot of attention. So, when the ball's in her hands, she opens up a lot of things for her teammates. So, she's an incredible young lady. She's an incredible player, and obviously a big part of what we do.
I think you almost answered what my next question was going to be, and that's with the defense, I'll probably focus on her. What does she do to combat that? And you said she'll give it up to her teammates.
She does. She shares the ball very well. She's not a selfish player at all, and she allows other players on our team to be successful because she does draw a lot of attention.
Jasmine Nelson's another player that has had a couple of impressive outings, 23 points against Irving. She's a gritty player down low.
She is. Jazz is probably the most competitive player we have as far as night in and night out. She's very consistent. She plays aggressive on both ends of the floor. She's probably the most improved player that we have in our program too. So we're really excited about Jazz and what she's doing and what she's contributing, and she's just a quality kid.
There's several juniors on this team and some underclassmen as well. One of your senior leaders, though, Nicole Quincy, you've talked about how her leadership ability and some of the little things that she does on the court is really what helps keep this team together.
Nicole is a coach's dream. You know, she's one of those kids that has all the intangibles. You know, she didn't do a lot of flashy things that people in the stands would notice, but as a coach, you notice everything that she does. You know, she's a great leader. She's always where she's supposed to be. She understands the game, and she's able to communicate that to her teammates. So she's definitely kind of our glue.
Your record so far this year is 9-9. It's kind of reflective of you've been in a ton of close games early on in this season. A couple of close wins, a couple of close losses. How's that help build the character of a team going forward?
Well, you know, I think it's kind of indicative of what our season is going to be, just as far as mental toughness and understanding that we've got some challenges ahead of us, and just embracing that and understanding who we are and that nothing's going to be easy for us. So our kids have really adjusted to that, you know, and I think that one of our strengths is understanding what our weaknesses are. And, you know, the fact that we're not real big, we're not real fast, we're not real strong, we're not real deep, but we're smart. And we have a game plan, and our kids have really bought into that. And, you know, I think that it's all been beneficial.
Couple games this week, Coppell and Hebron, and then a Prosper Holiday Tournament that are leading up into district play. What are some of the final fine-tuning things that you want to see from your team, again, heading into a very tough district?
Well, we've got to be a little bit smarter with the basketball, obviously. You know, we're struggling with shooting the ball, and, you know, we have come into the season with the philosophy that we want to take some quick shots, but sometimes I think that we almost shoot ourselves out of games because we haven't been hitting our shots. I think fatigue is a big part of that, too. So we've addressed some of those concerns, and I just would like to see us going, you know, into the next couple of weeks, just making some of those decisions and understanding that if the shot's not falling, then we've got to be a little bit more selective on the shots that we're taking so that we're not, you know, putting ourselves in a situation where we're getting into a running game with people.
Going into district play, it's a 6-team district, and you've moved up to 5A, so there's going to be 4 of those 6 teams will make the playoffs. Only 2 are not going to make the playoffs. For you as a team, obviously Plano West is one of the ranked teams that is expected to win the district. But against some of the other teams, how competitive do you feel you're going to be, and what's it going to take for you to get in that 4th slot?
I think it's going to be a dogfight, really and truly. You know, I think that we can compete with anybody in our district. It's, you know, the depth is going to be a concern for us. You know, I'm certainly competitive enough to think that we can compete with anybody that we play, and we're certainly going to try to do that. Plano West is a powerhouse. Plano Senior's got, you know, some big kids. They're very competitive. You know, Boyd's got some big kids. Allen's got some big kids. Plano East is always athletic. I mean, it's not going to be easy, but we're going to battle with everybody we step on the floor with. There's no question.
For anybody that watches college basketball, we've seen how both in the men's and women's tournaments, there's sometimes those teams that are ranked lower seeded teams that maybe only have, you know, 5 players that play the majority of the time. They can sometimes pull off the upsets against some of the bigger teams. Is that kind of what you're looking for heading to this district, that those 5 starters will be able to last and play some special ball late?
There's not really anything fancy about what we do, but our kids understand, like I said, what our weaknesses are, and you know, they embrace that, and we understand that we've kind of got to outsmart people. We realize that we're not as big or as strong or as talented as the Plano West is, but we're going to do our job, and we're going to go in there with a game plan, and we're going to execute what we do, and we kind of embrace the fact that we're the underdog. It doesn't bother us.
For your team, it really comes down to limiting, I think, the turnovers in games.
No question. You know, and we're going to have to scheme a little bit on the defensive end and try to slow people down. We obviously can't match up with people that have, you know, a 6'2" post player inside, so we've got to make some adjustments, but we definitely have to take care of the basketball.
Well, Coach, thanks again for joining us today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Good luck going forward for the McKinney Lionettes. It's a 9-9 record at the moment. They have a tough district schedule, but they are a very gritty team, and they've shown the ability to win some close games.